Good day, fellow cinema nerds and movie geeks of the internet. You're watching Deano Reviews. First off, regarding my top 10 best and worst films of last year, not this year, that's very, very late, and I feel obligated to do anyway, not only because I did one last year. I filmed that. I mean, I borrowed like a actual professional kind of better looking camera, better than this high exposure of grainy rubbish from my college, and but the battery ran out, like, I don't know, kind of not that far into the actual countdown. That makes it sound like official, like it's New Year's. No, it's in countdown of the list. I think it was the best list, and I filmed like an intro for the worst list. Basically, I address it in the video. I resort to this camera at a point. I'm sitting at my desk, but still a list, and it has some professionalism to it. But anyway, we're talking about Wonder Woman and colour. Some colourful poster for a surprisingly colourful movie. I mean, it's not like Sunset Overdrive. I don't know when it comes to something colourful. I thought of that game, but I don't know. Oh, what's another colourful movie? Inside Out. That's colourful. It's not like bright colours every single second, and like, the red and blue is so bright and so clear. I mean, a lot of this movie takes place in World War One, a very kind of dark and gloomy time visually, aesthetically. So it's not that like that all the time, but you can just tell, there's a difference between the saturation between the last 3 DC Cinematic Universe movies and just this one, because it begins on Themyscira. Sorry, dog there. But yes, there's already. I'm just a fan of colour, really, and I know, like, DC, superheroes in general, are known as being really colourful. They're a spectacle to the eye. If you look at like a comic from, like, I don't know, the 40s or the 50s or the 70s, like, I mean, unless it's, I don't know, like a really dark Batman comic, or like but not most of the time, it's really colourful, normally very cheesy, but I don't know, it just, you normally just associate just bright, nice to the eye colours when it comes to like superheroes, like, back in the day, and I know, and since superhero movies are like in like full force. Very popular, especially financially, and like with Marvel, they choose like the fun route and all that, and their movies are reasonably colourful. Like, you can tell when something's red and something's yellow. I mean, they're not super colourful. I don't know why I'm going on about colour, but I find it important. Colour's pretty important, and it makes it more interesting to look at, and not as boring and dull and depressing, especially when it's a superhero. And I'm not ranting. I know, obviously I'm talking about Zack Snyder, which I haven't seen many. I haven't seen all of his movies. I haven't yet seen 300 or the likes of Sucker Punch. And even though I found Man of Steel pretty good, I just flat out disliked of Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. I'm still indecisive if I really liked it or really didn't like it or not, because like, I like this and that had potential, but this was really bad. So I'm indecisive about that movie, and they're just so, I don't know, just gloomy, just visually. And this is Wonder Woman, a very colourful superhero, and the fact that this movie had bright colours, I just very much liked. Heck, compare like her and Batman v Superman. Her red looked more brown, if anything. Heck, even the blue I thought was more brown, and I just find that, I don't know, silly. Just like, go back to those roots. I know, like, you want to go like, if they're being fun, we're going to be more depressing. We're taking the route, you have your Christopher Reeve Superman, but right now we're going to try, have it all a bit, more Hollywood-esque, as in, like, the CGI and just like, dark gloominess and action and like stuff like that. I'm probably not getting myself right word wise, but hopefully somewhat get what I mean. You probably don't. I sound like an idiot. But you know, just the fact that this looked like how it is, it was very good, and especially since which incorporates how this movie is so on its own, is so, you know, just standalone. It's cut off from all that. This is Wonder Woman, which I'm glad, because Superman has had quite a few movies, Batman has had many movies, because again it's always about that trinity, especially in DC. You know, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they're like when you see pictures of the Justice League, they're normally at the front. And the fact that this is like her first movie, yes, she had like a few TV shows, like you know, in the 70s, I believe. That her first movie gets to be so cut off and on its own. Basically, I'm trying to say that I just find it justified and good. I mean, I know, you know, just to make it different, the colour scheme, you know, being a lot darker makes it more on its own, but I just appreciate how it's, you know, honing back to that, what it looks like, you know, its roots. Which, do I like the movie? I thought this movie was pretty good. 6 minutes in, I talked mostly about colour, because I like colour, and I'm glad this movie has colour, and I can see what's going on. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad about Batman v Superman. I mean, the blue was very muted, but, you know, and yet, I care about that. I don't know why. The movie was pretty good. Pretty darn good. Great. It's pretty good, which is good. Pretty good. Surprisingly enough. Okay then. Where do I start? It was a solid superhero movie. It was a solid superhero movie. Also has an origin story. It did it all very, very well. And I know, like, basically this movie was under a lot of pressure because, like, it was seen as, like, you know, like, there's not that many actually good, or any, maybe to my knowledge, female-led superhero movies. Catwoman, Supergirl, Elektra. I just, so I can say, I watched Elektra, I sat through, and then it got stuck 20 minutes in, and you know, when the DVD gets stuck, you can't really fix that, so I felt obligated to finish it. So then I threw that away, and I went to a used DVD store, and I bought it for like maybe £1.99, and there were so many copies of that film, and I watched the rest of it, and it was awful. Jennifer Gardner bloody stuck Raphael bloody size into a bunch of bedsheets in one particular scene. Yeah, there's that movie. So this movie has the pressure to be an actual good female-led superhero movie, as well as a good movie for the DC cinematic universe, which I wish is better than it is right now. But hopefully now they're gonna chug along well as Justice League, which, I mean, I'm kind of doubtful for, but you know, we'll see what happens there. I mean, I'm kind of bummed out that they can't just wait to have Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter on the team if they ever have Martian Manhunter. But you know, they got normal crew, even though I normally associate Cyborg with Teen Titans. But anyway, on a tangent, you know, to actually be a good movie, because a lot of people, I watched a lot of reviews on, like, for example, Suicide Squad, that said if this Wonder Woman movie sucks, I'm done. Heck, some people are done already. But as all round, it's a solid, good, entertaining, enjoyable superhero movie. That's really what it is in general. Really. It was just a really entertaining, enjoyable movie. It was just really enjoyable. Don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, where to start with first? Since this is an origin story, this is like really where Wonder Woman starts off, and it's very clear that, you know, she doesn't just start off like, oh, I'm strong and a mighty Wonder Woman, like you all know, just straight off the bat, you know, I have no weaknesses. Basically, I'm just, you know, don't fear for me whatsoever. And it doesn't do that because, again, this is her origin. This is her starting off. in this movie she's very much naive and innocent and kind of childlike, which contributes to the whole fish out of water thing because she enters this world. You could draw similarities to Captain America, but I think like this movie and Captain America are quite different, mainly because one deals with Amazons and Zeus and Ares, and one deals with old Chris Evans' muscular biceps. I just said muscular biceps. Aren't biceps normally muscular? No. But you know, you can tell me, but I don't want to hear about your politics. But basically, what was it? But yes, very naive and innocent. Mainly in fact, like she's dressing up and like she's having a girl montage, wearing all these clothes, you know, proper pristine clothes. And she said, "How do you fight in this?" Which again, this movie does have some, you know, good humor, some quirky humor, not forced down your throat, just humor for the sake of humor. Like have some lighter tones. For the most part, this movie has a very light tone. Like as in, you know, it's actually, you know, quite hopeful. That's actually the message of the movie, really. Hope. That's like that's kind of his whole shtick. And being wonderful because Wonder Woman. But yes, I did basically, as a character, she wasn't crap. You actually liked her and rooted for her, and was, you know, good to be alongside. Like she wasn't just, I don't know, she was like, oh, she was cool. Like as a character, like you do grow attached to her because you see her like at the beginning and then at the middle, at the end, and there's clear differences between those three versions of her in the film. Hopefully that doesn't sound too pretentious and you know, just added on there. I mean, just to quickly add in a few negatives, the way, for instance, the movie does have a few cliches. I mean, the movie isn't revolutionary. I mean, I can't go that far. Like, it's like, you know what? Yeah, DC didn't also only make a good movie. It made a revolutionary movie that, you know, gives a whole new face to the superhero genre and made me question my perspective in life. You know, I'm sure this turns even the harshest of misogynists into women-loving hippies. That was a bit melodramatic, but it was really, really good. I mean, maybe some people will go that far, but in my eyes, I'm not saying it's awful. Heck, I gave like Ghostbusters 2016 a pass. I just like it's passable, and that movie had a huge hate bandwagon on it. Luckily, this is a legitimately good movie that isn't just a giant cash grab, and you know has a reason to exist. Like Deano being the first big film adaptation of one of the greatest superheroes ever. I was going to say superheroine, but I always just sounds odd because heroin's a drug. Okay, I had to point it out for some reason. Okay, the movie does like have a few cliches, as in you've seen the fish out of water thing. You've seen a movie starts off with the main character, the main superhero to be as a child, and I don't know, they want to fight, and like, you know, she's stronger than she is, and she doesn't know what she's capable of. And then at the very end, she's like, you know, she's going like, I'm good and you're bad, and good triumphs over bad, and it has that sort of thing. Speaking of the ending, that whole kind of part I just alluded to just then was very cheesy. It was incredibly cheesy. You know, still really cool. Again, a bit cheesy, and also kind of becomes that whole. It's a superhero movie. You kind of have to have the climax just be the big CGI spectacle of, like, you know, lightning and explosions and and CGI. Speaking of the CGI, it was good. I mean, it's not an incredible amount. I mean, like, for example, at the beginning where Diana is a child, she's exploring Themyscira. There's some statues. You could like it's the uncanny valley. You could tell that's not an actual statue there, and like at the very end with the villain, the way he looks and the way I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. Don't worry. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to say who the villain is. Actually, spoilers. There's a villain. It's a superhero movie. They normally have villains. The person behind the mask, could look kind of fake at times, but it's really it's good. It's good passable CGI, even though like there's her powers does require a lot of fighting, but when she's like jumping over stuff, smashing into buildings, all very good. And speaking of action, there is a lot of slow-mo. There is an incredible amount of slow-mo. Maybe a little too much in my opinion, but slow-mo, it was used like digestibly. If basically the word I mean, like not so much that it's just a pain in the ass and you're just done. As in, like, it's used like in particular cool moments, like when she's sliding across the floor in the slow motion, and that's cool. And but like maybe a bit too much for some people, the slow motion. But yeah. As for the villains, which is negative, I mean, there's kind of like a spoiler to do with like the villain. But like as for like the in the trailer the Miss Poison who has a thing on her face, and also the other guy who I've seen recently in another movie, and I'm just gonna get paranoid if I don't say. Give me a moment. The guy that played Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I remember like someone saying, "Oh yeah, that guy in the trailer, the general looking guy, was also played someone else. The character I can't remember. He was Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine." Them, like, who are the villains in the movie because they're in the trailers. They're alright. I mean, they're just the basic. They're basic villains. They're just basic, like, evil. They're not good. They're not good people. They're not cool dudes. They mean to do bad things. They were just basic, run of the mill type villains. That's what they really were. I mean, the beginning, like, I was thinking, yeah, I have seen this before. As in, Diana's running all around Themyscira, like, oh, I just want to fight. She's like imitating all the other Amazonians fighting, and said like, and such, and she's like, oh, you're my Diana. So I've seen that quite a few times, but you see enough superhero movies at this point that there's going to be similarities. I can't falter the movie for that. But the biggest highlight of this movie, and like what even does better than like the Marvel films, even, I'm sure as a, like, if big Marvel fanboys review this movie and doesn't say, oh, it does nothing better than Marvel, yeah, you're not seeing it really. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I shouldn't like say you should think that you're an idiot. But like it's the relationship between Diana and Chris Pine's character, Steve, Captain Steve. Yeah, I can't remember his surname. I think Steve was his surname, in fact. Like, the attachment you not only get to, like, those two, like, their dynamic together, also many of the other, like, supporting characters that, I don't know, you just find quirky and memorable and just likeable, really. Like, the secretary, whose name I can't remember, unfortunately, and I don't know, this movie's version of the Howling Commandos. Was that the name of them? I'm probably referencing something completely different. The Captain America and Bucky's, teammates in the first Avenger movie. This movie's version of it has like a was he was Scottish? I think, yeah, he was Scottish, or just British in general. And there was like he was a French guy, and there was like a native. They were all good. Like, the way they acted and the way they talked, the way they were written, just felt very human, and fitted extremely well with the time period of World War One. I mean, apparently, in the comics, Captain Steve and where Diana, Wonder Woman's origin story takes place isn't in World War One, which is like an easy way to see that depicted as in the DC animated version of her origin story just called Wonder Woman, which I haven't yet seen, but I would still like to. Like, recently I've kind of, got around to seeing a bunch of DC animated movies I wanted to see after a while. I saw Flashpoint Paradox and Justice League Crisis on Two Worlds and Justice League Doom. Love Justice League Doom. That was great. I really recommend that one. But here, like, they changed it to World War One, which I think fared extremely well, especially with how, like, Wonder Woman feels about like we need to fight and, like, hope and stuff, and then she sees all these injured soldiers, and it just, like, works really well. And as for Gal Gadot, she was really, really good. I mean, I don't know too much about her backstory. Apparently, I don't know if she was a model and then turned into an actress, but I know that she was in a soldier at one point, an actual soldier in the military. So, I don't know if I can go as far as many people are saying, like, oh, she was born to play Wonder Woman, she was the perfect Wonder Woman. I'm sure there's hundreds or tens of actresses out there, like, very known or unknown, like Gal Gadot once were, to that could play this character and can get across that, at least in this story, her naivety and growing as that heroic superhero, to bring hope that we all know, and maybe potentially better. But as for her here, like, she just played it really well. She got the comedic moments down very well as like seeing the emotion on her face, like when she's sad, when she's shocked, you can tell that. In fact, the acting was good all around. I mean, maybe, I don't know, some performances you may not be to your liking. Like, I watched a review that said the guy that played the native wasn't very good. Maybe I'm just overly generous, but so I didn't go like, that guy is crap. But it would. I like it was good acting. But basically, again, the highlight, and well, I'm not going to say the saving grace, because if that was taken away, not like a god awful movie. I mean, it takes away quite a lot. I mean, if you take that away, it's like, oh man, you take that away, you're just left with poor cinematography. I couldn't even see the screen. Basically, all the characters spoke in Spanish. Worst movie I've ever seen. It makes me, just actually wish it was still World War One. Nope. That's probably a bit too far. Just that's really the highlight of it for me and many people. Just the dynamic and the emotional attachment that this movie really manages to do and accomplish. I think that captures a lot of it. So yeah, I think this movie, just walking out, just really easy to just say straight out, there's more positives than these small negatives, and it was just a really solid movie. It's on its own, and I mean, I don't know much about Wonder Woman. In fact, as like a superhero, she I don't really know that all much about her. But again, like Winter Soldier, it made me see Captain America is really cool. I'm sorry if these comparisons to Marvel movies are ticking you off, but there's a lot of superhero movies out there, and there's more Marvel movies than DC movies, as in this decade. So I'm gonna compare. I mean, but again, it's its own thing. It's on its own. I kind of say, like comparing it to this Marvel movie, this is on its own. I don't think you should really do that. I mean, unless you want to, I guess. I mean, that's kind of what I did. But yeah, she was quite cool. Basically, like how she uses the sword, the shield. By the way, probably the most badass moment in the film is when she's stepping up and basically just takes it all on with the shield and the gauntlets, and that was great. I mean, so I watched a review that said they should have played that Wonder Woman. I mean, that probably was maybe a bit too on the nose, because they're actually singing her name like, "Look, it's Wonder Woman." So no, just played that, which that was good. I think it's cello. That's the instrument they're playing. That was the most badass moment in the film. And again, just this movie has many just human moments. There's the bit when he's like teaching her how to dance. I mean, you've seen that in movies, like, you know, when the captain goes, I'm going to teach you how to dance, and it didn't feel like, oh, this is ripping something off. It just felt very just flowing and just good and nice. It just felt very nice. Yeah, I mean, not really a spoiler, but unfortunately she doesn't throw a tiara, and that's one of the things, like a boomerang. Captain Boomerang, it got to be a reference to something. But yeah, sorry, that's my phone dinging, if you can hear. What else? I mean, again, like, I recently watched Red Letter Media's review of the film. Amazing, by the way. Well, as of all their content. They, like, some people cannot, like, you know, it's kind of hard to resist a comparison to Captain America, the First Avenger, since it's an origin story of a famous superhero which has the colours of the American flag, and, you know, is in one of the world wars, and I mean, and then, you know, is still alive in modern day. I mean, it's kind of hard to compare, be it accidental. I think the movie trying to make it as much of his own thing as possible, really, because again, Amazon's, you know, normal dude that gets a super soldier serum, and also the fact that, you know, Captain America's fighting straight up Germans while World War One was a bit of a fuddly hullabaloo, fuddly deadly. While Chris Pine was really good in this movie, he's not just Captain Kirk, he's his own thing. And by the way, the lasso of truth, I like that was used very good as a weapon and as to interrogate Chris Pine. But yeah, I mean, some people also reference it to Thor, which is also understandable. Fish out of water, gods. By the way, that was a really good point, like where they basically explain the origin story and there's paintings, so that was also good. So yeah, between Captain America and maybe this movie, maybe it just felt a lot more human, emotionally. I'd say I shouldn't really just say which one's better, because they're kind of similar in some ways. Just this on its own, and again, pretty good, solid, entertaining, enjoyable superhero movie. So well done on you. I mean, yeah. Hopefully I'm not missing anything else out, but I think I got my point across. You know, alright, I didn't wear a DC or Wonder Woman t-shirt. I own a Batman v Superman t-shirt, but nah, this is just Wonder Woman, because she deserves it. That was a nice looking poster. It really is. But yeah, I don't know if I had to score out of 10, an 8. I'd score a good 8. But yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time. I need to drink some water. I should go study for my media exam tomorrow. I should probably do that also. And also, it's very late. I saw a midnight screening of this movie. I just thought, might as well. I don't have anything the next day because I'm a lazy shy. So I went and saw a midnight screening of this. I'm not showing off. I'm just saying that I could have uploaded the morning, I don't know, when I woke up the next morning. But no, it's 6 days after the movie's already come out, and pretty much everyone has already reviewed it. By the way, sigh of relief. You know, is it good? I watched Jeremy John's review and look at the Rotten Tomatoes. It's all good. So, you know, let's see what happens next. But, you know, just good. We got an entertaining movie. So yeah, you've been watching Deano Reviews. Another screen watcher like you. Diddly doo 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 on the run.